Hey, so in today's video, we'll be talking about REST API and how we can create a REST API using Python. So stick around to get to the demo part, but let's start with what REST API is. So REST stands for Representational State Transfer, which means that a client machine would request some information from the server machine using HTTP protocol, and then server machine sends back the state of a resource to the client, depending on what the client requested. So this kind of communication is what REST API is in simpler terms. And then there are specific HTTP methods that are used. So you have get, put, post, and delete. So they're really similar to CRUD. If you're familiar with what CRUD is, it's create, read, update, and delete. And it's usually used in the database terms. So similarly, get would give you the data that you need. So it's basically a read. And then your put is updating the data. And then your post is adding the data. And then delete is deleting the data from the resource. So that's how REST basically works. So the client can either send a GET request, put, post, or delete request to the server, and then the server would do whatever the action client sent. So now that we have some knowledge about REST API, let's try building it. So APIs, they can be created with any programming languages. So you could have Java, C#, Python, etc. In today's demo, I'll be using Python. So diving into the demo itself. So as you can see, I have a directory here. It has two files right now. And there's the block.csv, and then we also have our flask app.py, which is basically a Python file. So this is where our code would go, and it's a blank file, as you can see. For block.csv, so it's a typical CSV file, and we are holding our data in the CSV file. So for REST APIs or any kind of APIs, the data can exist either in databases or a flat file. It could be in JSON format or a comma separated file like this. So we'll use this today. And if you look at the data, we have three fields here: date, title, and URL. And you have a date, and then you have a title of a blog article that I wrote. So these all three blogs are on my blog website. And you also have a URL. So that data is being stored in the CSV. What we want to do today is create an API endpoint from where I can pull this information, right? So our blog.csv is the database and would hold this information. And then we would have the Flask server, which would respond to the requests. So let's get into the demo now. And if we go into our Flask app.py, the first thing that I want to do is some inputs. So if you're familiar with React, Vue, or any of the other frameworks, you usually have your inputs. So you already have packages that you can use, and they just make our lives easier, right? So as I told you, we'll be using Flask as the library. So we'll import that. And since we are building a REST API, we also want Flask RESTful. And then we'll import API, resource, and request parse. I'll dive a bit deeper with all these later in the section. And the last thing we would import is pandas. So pandas is a library which it's usually used to work with data. In our case, it's the CSV file. And then import pandas as PD just helps us using this library as PD in the code. So we don't have to write pandas again and again. So moving on, I have some boilerplate code here for the Flask server to run. And we'll also define our app here. So now I want to dive into creating the API itself. So we'll have a class which would tell the Flask app whenever the endpoint is called what it should do. So let's define that class. So we'll name it blog because we are working with the blog data, right? And then we know that it's a resource because that's what we are trying to access through the API endpoint. And then we'll define a function. So our first function would be get. So since we'll be reading the data, and I already kind of explained what read is in HTTP methods, so it's a get request. So we'll do that. And we are reading the data from the CSV. So as I said, we'll be using pandas. Here is where it'll come in use. So read CSV, and then we point it to our CSV file, which is blog.csv. And now we also want the data to be in JSON format. So we'll use a function here, and this is an inbuilt function. So data to, and then we want it in the records version. And you can Google more on this. So this is just me saying, hey, don't just spit out whatever is in the CSV. Properly format it whenever there is a GET request. And what we'll return now is the data. And we also want to return a 200 success code. So HTTP codes, you can again Google this, but 200 stands for success. So we'll return that. So that is our get function. And now I do want to have the endpoint itself. So we'll add a comment saying add URL endpoint. Or we could also have it saying define URL endpoint. What I want to do here is API and then add resource. So we already know what class we are calling. So it'll be blog. And then we tell it what should be the endpoint. So I think /blog makes perfect sense. So this is the part which goes after the URL. So let's say we have example.com/blog. So that would be our URL endpoint, which we can call. And after that's done, we have some boilerplate code, and we'll save that. I missed a colon here. So we have our imports, we have our resource defined here. We also have our endpoint. Now what we want to do is run our Python app. So we go Python 3 flask app.py, hit enter, and you'll be greeted by a message saying you have your development server running. And you can see it's running on port 5000. So I'll open a browser here, and let's go to that port. And you can see not found. The requested URL was not found. The reason why we have this error is that we are not serving anything on the home page. It's on /blog. So now you can see it gives us the CSV data in a JSON format, and that serves our purpose of our GET request. I also want to show you an example in Postman. So Postman is a tool that developers use to test APIs. So we'll go ahead and copy this endpoint in Postman and do a GET request. And you see that we receive a 200 status, which means okay. And then we also get our data in the body. So that's a REST API. The other cool thing we could do with this project is have youtube.csv, and that would be all my YouTube videos in CSV format. And we would define another class called YouTube, and we would have a GET request defined, and we could have another URL endpoint, say /YouTube. So whenever we make a request to /YouTube, we would get my YouTube video data. So that's how you work with REST APIs and how you build REST API in Python. You could also have a post method defined here. So we'll just do define post, right? You could also have a delete. The functionality with this, I don't think, I don't want to have a post method because all of this blog data, I'm getting it out of Hashnode. So I don't need to update CSV myself, right? So I don't want that capability. I just need my API to return all of my blog data, and that's it. I'm not changing anything. I just want to read the data from the CSV. So that's why I only have the get function defined here. But yeah, there's always the flexibility of having a post, delete, and put method defined. So that's it for today's demo. We learned about REST APIs, how they work, and how you could build one using Flask in Python. Hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you in the next video.